Select a CTQ, critical to quality. You are ready to start with your project and you have set an ambitious objective. Your objective is to solve the one recurring problem that everybody complains about. That's great. So the next step is to collect some data and analyse your problem. But wait, what data should you collect? This can be a very difficult question to answer. Which aspect should you measure? For example, if your project objective is to increase customer satisfaction, it's not so clear-cut. What should you measure when you wish to prevent possible failures of your product? Or what data will you need if you want to increase accessibility of the healthcare provided by your organisation? In this video, I will give you an idea of how to make a problem measurable. That is, how to select measurable characteristics that reflect your project objective. In the DMAIC phases, you may go over the define, measure and analyse phases a few times, as this can be an iterative approach, and then agree the scope of your project with data, which is about making the problem quantifiable and measurable. You need to have process metrics that are relevant for your project objectives, or in other words, what characteristics should you measure? Let's take a look at an example. Suppose you work at a factory that produces breakfast cereals, and each morning the production has to be set up. There is a problem, however. On Monday morning, this setup takes more time than on any other day of the week. Moreover, the process runs worse for the rest of the day. So the goal of your project is to find out what causes this issue and to improve this process, such that the setup on Monday is equally good compared to the rest of the week. So what should you measure to find out what to improve? There are two aspects about the Monday mornings that you want to improve. The first one is that it takes more time to set up the process on Monday morning. This can, for instance, be measured by the duration of the setup and by the start time of the production. The second aspect is that the process runs worse on Mondays. But what does worse mean? Well, in this example, this means that there is more scrap and more defects are produced. So, to measure how well your process runs, you can measure the amount of scrap, and you can measure the volume, that is the total production of the day. These characteristics are called your CTQs, or your critical to quality characteristics. But what exactly is a CTQ, and how do you find it? A CTQ is a property of a product or a service that is relevant to your project objective. You can find it by asking yourself, what is the metric I want to change? And will the project be successful if I do that? In Lean Six Sigma terminology, this metric is called a CTQ. In other fields, however, this is often called your Y variable, your dependent variable, or the outcome variable. Let's take a look at another example. You run a project on processing invoices for an insurance company. Currently, management feels that this process takes up too much time, both for the business as well as for the customer. What do you think that the relevant CTQs are here? One of the aspects you want to improve is the time that it takes employees to process these invoices. This can, for example, be measured by looking at the CTQ processing time per invoice processed. The other aspect was the customer time. This can be measured by looking at the CTQ throughput time, which is the time it takes for the invoice to be processed. This includes the time a customer takes to fill in the insurance claim, the waiting time, and the processing time. In most service processes, processing time is measured in minutes, whereas throughput time is often measured in days. Let's test if you understand the idea. You run a project for a sales department. Sales representatives are hired to visit potential customers, investigate their needs, and write an offer. They also follow up on questions or complaints from existing customers. Management complains that the revenues are too low, since representatives visit too few clients. Work pressure felt by these sales representatives is too high, and they argue that they are overburdened by administrative tasks. So, what are the CTQs? Download the CTQ template and have a go yourself. In summary, a CTQ is a property of a process, product, or service that is relevant to the project objective. You can find it by asking yourself, what would you want to change? CTQ is Lean Six Sigma terminology. In statistics and other fields, this variable is called your Y variable, the dependent variable, or the outcome variable.